Hey, hey, hey. Hey, hey, hey. What's going on? It's your girl, Kayla Love, and I'm over here at CoBiz. I'm also streaming live. I got some people on Zoom. I got my boy Sharif over here live in the studio audience. And I'm just going over tips and tricks when it comes down to the hackathon, how to prepare to be a winner, because what I'm teaching you right now goes beyond just tech. And let me make sure I get my window over here. Hey, hey, hey. What's going on? I got Donald over here. I got Boz. Pablo, I see you. Yes, so today we're going to just be going over this concept. Where goes my marker over here? We're going to be talking about design thinking. Sharif, you heard about this concept before? Design thinking. All right. And why this is so important. And then we're also going to get to questions from y'all here in Zoom on the participants. And so the idea of design thinking is that we are creating tech that's centered in humanity, in solving real world problems. So the first step that we want to talk about and emphasize is empathy. All right. So the ability for us to put ourselves in somebody else's shoes. And a lot of times we think of tech as being this like really cold, soulless thing. But in reality, oh, I see Professor Jane. Jane, the message coming on in. What's up, Jane? The thing is that tech is never far removed from humans. And whenever we have any kind of institution, whether it's the law or tech being so far from humanity, we have a problem. That's not the future that we are trying to build. Okay. So that's why instead of focusing all about the tech, we got to focus about the idea that we're solving real world problems. So that's step number one. Hey, what's going on, Mr. C? What's going on, Jane the message? Hey, what's going on, all my Instagram followers out there? Thank you for joining this session, pre-hackathon webinar talking about design thinking. Also, shout outs to Sharif over here in the audience. So we're talking about empathy, being rooted in the fact that we got what cannot be bought, taught, or sold, all right? Our humanity, our creativity, and in 2025, we got to use that as our superpower, okay? So the first thing for anybody who's thinking about participating in a hackathon, anybody who is thinking about creating tech, who are you building for, all right? Who are you building for? I want you to go ahead and put it in the chat. Who are you building for? Now, Sharif, I know you said that you're a coach with basketball. So are you building for your students? Are you building for yourself? Are you building for other coaches? Are you building for the parents? Right? So as a coach, you're responsible, you're a leader, and you're in a high touch position with a lot of other people, other ecosystems, right? And each one of those, you can have this sphere of influence and be helping them in some way. And you're uniquely qualified to do that because you're on the ground every day. You're calling the shots. You're helping do conflict resolution, I assume. When you're working with 9-year-old boys, I know that you're doing that. So, right? So again, we want to think about who are we building for? And feel free, go ahead and put that in the chat. What community are you part of? Are you building for? Like I said, I have Sharif here, who is a coach, who is thinking about that. Jane, I know that you have a specific audience and you're an artist as well. Donald, tell me a little bit about yourself, as well as for all of my Instagram followers out there. We're talking about human-centered design. And so that's the first thing that we're talking about when we're figuring out how to come up with a hackathon project or anything that we want to build. We want it to be rooted in empathy, rooted in design. I see Mr. C. We got a comment over here from Mr. C saying, myself and for those who feel like they don't have a voice. I like that, Mr. C. And I want you to get even more specific because there's a lot of people out here that might feel like they don't have a voice. Right? We have like our community of dreamers. We have our community of the unhoused population, right? Anybody that's marginalized, but that could cover a whole lot of people. So I want you to dig a little bit deeper, Mr. C, and think about who is that specific person, or if you're building for yourself, how do you define? What are those parts of your identity that you're really looking to hone in on? All right, so that's our first step. That is our empathy. Jane, the autistic adults who are not being supported by current structures and others who have similar support needs. Love it, Jane. Super specific, really honing in. The idea is the empathy, the human who Jane is building for, or maybe neurodivergent.
I'm trying to locate where Tyler is.
Oh, what's going on?
Yes,
Donald?
yes, please. Yes, please.
Oh, okay. I think Donald was not, didn't accidentally unmuted. And so Jane is building for tech for neurodivergent folks, people whose brains just think a little bit differently, but she has a creative superpower. And so she is uniquely qualified to build that in a way that nobody else can. Just like you're uniquely qualified to build something related to coaching or related to leadership, related to serving kids in that specific age range or basketball, right? Because something that you build, it could be universal, like my friend Jonah, who does soccer coaching, or maybe it's something specific to that sport, right? So that's the first part. Let's talk about step number 2. We're going to define, all right? We are going to define the problem. Hey, how you doing? Welcome, welcome. What's your name?
Donald.
Oh, Donald, you was coming up in here. Okay. Hey, Donald, welcome, come on in. For all of those that are just tuning in, I'm over here live at CoBiz, where I got Sharif and Donald in the house. We're talking about design thinking, our pre-webinar prep. So thank you for joining. Mr. C, he said that he's building specifically for youth, low income and at-risk youth who are enrolled in school. All right, so maybe what Mr. C is building is something that helps with administrators to serve those students, to identify those students. I know some tech founders that are developing specific algorithms where they can take that student data, like take their enrollment data, take their attendance data, and be able to actually predict certain outcomes so that they're able to identify those at-risk students before, it becomes a problem, before they end up in the system. So these are perfect examples of how we can build and what we want to be thinking about when we're building meaningful tech, human-centered design thinking tech. All right, so let's go ahead and move on to number 2, defining the problem. And also, Donald, I wanted to ask you, who are you building for?
Veterans.
Veterans, okay, tell me specific, actually kind of gets into here. What is the problem that you want to solve when it comes specifically to veterans?
So a lot of us come back from deployment and trying to blend into society from being out there for so long poses a challenge, and a lot of us get ends up on the wrong end. So just trying to develop a housing, a community that will prevent us from going behind bars, as society.
Okay, amazing work, Donald. So, and also, what branch in the military are you from?
Army.
Army. Well, thank you for your service. We appreciate you, Donald. So Donald is here with me here at CoBiz, and he's talking about the unique needs of veterans. And you as a veteran are uniquely qualified to solve that problem in the way that a tech bro can't. Because they will try to come in and be like, oh, look there's this many percentage of veterans. And if I sell them a product at this amount, then my total addressable market, and then we could make this much money. And that's how a lot of this tech is built. And that's why you and everybody watching needs to be the one to build this tech. Because otherwise, somebody who has no idea, that is not in your situation, will build it and be the one to influence the masses when it really should be coming from us, right? So when we're talking about defining the problem, Donald just defines a problem related to veterans. And the problem here is not having sufficient support is what I'm hearing when they come back from deployment, being significantly at risk for maybe homelessness or even like post PTSD, right? Maybe isolation, not feeling like they have a community. Or also maybe not even realizing that the resources that they have access to, the GI Bill, and I know that there's some other ones. My friend Paul, he's going to be here on Saturday. He's an Air Force veteran, and so he's actually passionate about helping some people in his veteran community access some of the grants that are unknown. So maybe that's something that you can build with him. But I love that you won. It's certified and specifically who we want to serve here. And 2, defining the problem. So we just defined the problem, which means that now we get to this third one. And this is where we ideate. This is where I be having the most fun, is like, what is the creative solution? And when we're thinking about the creative solution, we want to think about what do I need in this moment? Or what is somebody that I resonate with, somebody that's looking to me for a solution? What can I offer them? So Jane was talking about, autistic adults who are not being supported by current structures, right? So being able to define what that lack of support looks like. And on the flip side, what would that support look like if it was there, right? Because that's the thing that we're trying to build. So Sharif, I'm gonna come to you now. We talked about you building maybe some sports tech, right? For coaching. Have you thought a little bit about if you would want to build something for the youth that you're coaching, other coaches, something just for yourself, for the parents, for the schools? Give us some feedback here.
Yeah, I have thought about building something for the youth that I am currently coaching in that age range, and also for the coaches as well. So
Okay.
both sides of the platform.
Okay, so what would be the problem that you're solving? Let's start with the youth that you're
Gotcha.
coaching.
The problem that I will be solving is the recruitment, struggle that the kids are having at the grassroots level, at the development level.
Okay, the struggle, give me an example of maybe some, one issue that these youth that you're coaching are struggling with at that level.
The exposure to college coaches.
Oh, exposure to college coaches. Why is that a problem?
Yes, it's a problem because at the grassroots level, a lot of the kids go to these tournaments and they play a lot of games, but it's barely any coaches there, and they're expecting that it's going to be like Division I coaches there all the time. That's just not the case sometimes at the grassroots level. And so trying to get those kids more exposure to the right coaches, right areas at the maybe D3 JUCO, junior college level, that's more realistic for them.
Okay, so basically the youth, the lack of opportunity for youth and maybe specific communities to bridge the gap between the coaches at the big colleges, right? Okay, so there we have like a very specific defined problem. Now, I know that I'm kind of putting you on the spot here when it comes to the ideation, right? And if we have any help from the audience, this is what design thinking is, the collaborative aspect of the hackathon. We also have Donald here, so feel free to weigh in. Everybody that's here on Zoom, Mr. C, Jane the Message. If we're trying to solve this problem and now we're in the ideation phase, what are some creative ideas that we can think of on how we can bridge the gap between youth and maybe underrepresented communities that don't have access to the college coaches? Right. I feel like I'm gonna throw back to you first because this is your wheelhouse, the problem you're uniquely designed to solve. In your experience, Sharif, what have you seen?
That to get them, the exposure to get them here, getting them on film. Film is key.
Getting them on film.
Yeah.
Okay, why is that so important?
Because that gives them like the exposure that they need, that they're not getting already from those programs that they're playing for.
Okay. So now we decided we come up with a solution. Donald, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, just to piggyback on what he said, you have, well, if the parents can afford it, then they have the opportunity. But for many that do not, with his idea, we bringing it, he's taking that opportunity to them, and having a support system around him will enable those, underprivileged kids to be filmed and have their performances and their abilities be showcased to the world. Otherwise, without his, idea, they will not have that ability to. So.
Oh yeah, I think that's awesome. So we're talking about, let's say we got you here, Sharif, and kind of having this satellite support system. So maybe that support system includes somebody that's just dedicated to capturing video, right? And let's talk about, I got all of these cameras going on, and I know that it's still going to take me forever to try to post this because we have the editing. And then once I have the editing, let's say that I got my perfectly polished video, it got the captions, it has all of the angles that I want. Then it comes down to the marketing, right? Sometimes it takes me longer to actually post. I'm like the captions and all of a sudden Instagram glitches, I lose everything. Oh my gosh, why didn't I have it in my notepad? Now I got to write everything around. So I really like what you said, Donald, because it's showing now, instead of this just abstract concept of, hey, yeah, I see this problem happening with the youth that I'm coaching, we're getting some specific things where, hey, maybe you run into somebody at the hackathon and it's like, hey, I'm passionate about creating systems for video editing using AI and streamlining that, and I have this platform. Well, maybe that's the support person that you would have on your team, right? So now we're kind of getting into the ideation aspect. The other aspect on how you might be able to solve this problem, I see a lot of people that want to create some type of matching platform. So for example, one of my friends, her husband wants to connect local farmers in the Bay Area with restaurants, right? So like kind of the farm to table. And the technology is there. We can build a matching platform, but it's more so who are these farmers, right? Who are the restaurants? And so that's again where you all are uniquely qualified because, you know, he grew up on a farm. So he understands that culture in a way that I don't, that maybe you don't, unless you lived that. And so now he'll know exactly like the language or how to identify those people. And part of the training materials that you'll get as part of the hackathon are some of those prompts so that we can use AI to actually hone in on those things. But this is just the overall framework of how we're thinking about solving problems. So when it comes to you, Sharif, one platform that you could build is maybe like that matching platform where you're going out and you're finding these coaches, right? And you're kind of just building something where you can easily put in, hey, would you be willing to be, you know, a mentor on our website? Here's the link. And they can just upload their picture. They can upload maybe like their LinkedIn and a short description, and then you just create a gallery. And then you have now started like maybe an email list where you go and get that content and you find, you know, the top clips from like the best performing students that deserve that exposure. And now you have a system that's ready to go where you're able to send that out and keep building those relationships and then hand off that relationship to the parents or to the student directly, right? So it could be something as simple as that, but it can make a huge difference in the outcomes for our students. I see Mr. C here. I would like to build an app for case managers where they can keep in contact with their clients and at the same time keep and create data so case managers can mentor more than just more data-driven processes and more human experiences. So yeah, I know that Mr. C, you said you wanted to build for youth, specifically at risk youth. So you want to be specific on case managers. Are these social workers? Are these school counselors? Are they for youth that are already in the system or case managers for nonprofits that are serving those youth? That's where we want to kind of come back to defining both the humans that are involved, but defining also the specific problem. And like Sharif, part of that project is going to be dependent on the relationships that you can leverage, that human work when we're out in the community, identifying the case managers and the youth, identifying the coaches, right? So Donald, I'm going to switch it over to you. We defined the problem, we defined who we wanted to serve, veterans. We defined the problem that we want to solve for them, being able to connect them with resources, being able to give them the support when they come home after deployment. What ideas have you come up with around how you're going to do that?
Right. So you mentioned earlier that most veterans don't even know the benefits that's available for them. And part of that is, you know, someone taking their time off, you know, their busy schedule, you know, reaching out to these individuals. I'm sure you've seen people, you know, when you drive around, you know, they're holding a sign and veteran and things like that. So it could be a platform simple as taking that information to them and, you know, going through the process from them being, you know, at every stop sign or stop light to bringing them to a surrounding, you know, and educate them about the technology for them to be able to use the technology to better themselves, rather than, you know, giving them $1 or quarter every year and then. So teach them how to fish, you feed them for life, give them a fish.
And that's what we're doing here, right? That's what the hackathon is all about, is just teaching people how to take their own strengths, the communities that they serve, the problems that you are uniquely qualified to solve, and just adding a little bit of tech. So then you can go in and you can empower a whole generation of people, a whole niche that wouldn't have access to this before. So maybe on Saturday when you come, a platform that you might build is maybe just like a resource hub, right? With the thing like I said, I'm gonna send my boy Paul to you. Maybe y'all can team up. And I know that he knows some specific, you know, it's beyond kind of what I know. I'm not a veteran, but I respect veterans. And I think that y'all deserve to have all of the resources. And so it's not the GI Bill. It's like something that's lesser known. And he talked about wanting to be able to like, hey, a lot of veterans don't know about this. And how can we use tech to even just have that in a place? Because we know government websites, they can be outdated. They can be extremely hard to navigate.
Yes.
They can have outdated and broken links. And it's and also they're more so resources that they're expecting people to come out to, where I'm sure you have peers or groups. And so it's like, hey, I have this thing to offer. And it's just a place to send people. So whenever you run into somebody, or I know somebody's like, oh yeah, you got to check out my boy Donald's platform. He can help you out with that. Right. And so that's one, starting just like a platform. And then who knows, maybe you want to start like a coaching kind of service around it, or a men's group, or a veteran support group, or now it's kind of your seed to plant, where it qualifies you if you're going to other groups, or you're going to Rotary clubs trying to get funding and saying, I have this thing, I have this platform, you can check it out. It has a website, it has users, and that qualifies you so much more versus, hey, I'm just this individual and I have an idea. Right. So it's just something that we're able to build that legitimizes us, so that it's something that we can grow. Right. And so we talked about the principles of design thinking, starting with empathy, the fact that we're building everything in human rooted problems, human centered design. We have talked about defining who we're building for and defining the problem that that population is facing. And now we've talked about ideating. What are the ideas, the creative solutions that we can come up with in order to solve those problems? And the next step here is our prototyping. Now, and I can show in a second here, but the platform that we're using is called Lovable. Have either of y'all heard of Lovable? Lovable. Any Lovables on Zoom? Let's see what we see here. Hey, Gina. I'm a case manager in Bayview and SF. Look at that, Mr. C. We got a case manager that's going to be at the hackathon. Maybe that's somebody that's going to be on your team on Saturday. Make sure you hook up with Gina. So it sounds awesome. Hey, Beto. So prototyping. Now, in a second here, I can give a live demonstration, but we are using a platform called Lovable, and this literally allows you the ability to speak whatever you want to see into existence. Like, it's like when we talk about manifesting, it's crazy because you can literally say like, hey, I'm a coach. I like coach boys in basketball in Oakland, California that are aged, 9 through 13. I want to build a platform that helps connect them with like D1 coaches. And one, you could put that into ChatGPT and then come up with a prompt, or you can put it directly into Lovable, but you want to say the specific thing that you want to build. So I want to build an interface where coaches can upload profiles and be matched with students. And I want to build a student portal where every student can basically build a portfolio that has their video highlights from games and practices, right? So that's something now going from idea to something that's super tangible. And I'm going to show you in just a second here how we can actually build that in just a few minutes, and you'll see what I'm talking about. Okay, so that's where we come to the prototyping. And then the last one, I'm just going to put it up here, but we're going to actually go into our live demo, is going to be our testing, right? So once we have that, it's like, does it work? Is it going to work really in the real world? Send it to a coach, send it to a student, make a video, upload it, see what it does. Even if we can just start with one user, one sale.
Yeah.
That's my goal for everybody at the hackathon, is just to have something that's like baseline that can be used, that they can start going out and showing people and having people test. My cousin, we did a vibe code session, and she created an app that's like Duolingo meets Shazam. So she's like, I go to places and I hear like these Spanish songs and I love them, but I don't know what they're saying. And so I like to Shazam, but I still don't know what the lyrics are. So this would be, it does the music recognition like Shazam does, but instead of it just showing what the song is, it shows all of the lyrics and creates a language lesson from it. So she was able to build that app in just 2 hours with a whole interface and like the songs. But then we had the problem of the songs not really being recognized, and it was because of the lack of data set. And so the next iteration would be like, oh, well, here's how you find what we call the right API for that. And then we like connected all of these other softwares, right? And I'm not expecting everybody to do that at the hackathon. This is just a jump off point, because what you build is now like bringing the resources and the tech talent from Silicon Valley and San Francisco to actually help you build this out and turn it into a business, right? So, but I'm going to show you what we can build in just a few minutes here. So if there's any questions, I see Mr. C, and I'm going to move I'm going to move over here for all of those tuning in live. And now we're just going to do a live demo on, let's maybe build out a prototype here. I was supposed to, I didn't even let them know that I was going live. They're just gonna have to see me. So I'm gonna go over here to lovable.dev, and let's just go ahead and we can start building a product here. So I can show you how we build it on Lovable. And actually, let's go over to ChatGPT and just try and get a prompt, right? And let's start with Sharif. So we're going to start with the idea that, I am a basketball coach in Oakland, California, working with male, it's youth, and you said age
18.
9 to 18.
Seven.
Okay, 9 through 17. And I want to solve the problem that they are not exposed to like D1 coaches and would you say like college coaches despite their talent. And one of the things that you had talked about was because these coaches, they don't really come out to the areas.
Yeah, they only go to like live periods or like, like events that are like pretty big, like the local ones. Which makes sense because they're fine, but yes.
These coaches, yeah, often don't come out to local events in my community, but rather the bigger ones with lots of exposure and let's say and more resources, right? I want to be able to empower my youth with the exposure and opportunity that comes with being able to connect with these coaches. I am working on, oh, actually, I'm so sorry, y'all. Let me share my screen up in the Zoom so you can see me here. So I am working on creating a lovable app that solves this problem. My initial ideas are to create something that helps showcase the youth through video highlights. As well as creating a, let's say, would it be like almost not like a job board, but like a database, like a visual database, as a like a visual, yeah, I'll just put that visual database of the coaches. It's an opportunity to do matching and bridge the gap. Can you add any ideas plus a prompt that can help me build my prototype? So let's go ahead and do that. And let me see what's going on in the Zoom. Okay, we don't have anybody in the chat here. So that's a powerful and timely idea. Giving talented Oakland youth the visibility they deserve can literally change their trajectory. Here's a way to expand on your concept, plus a ready-to-use Lovable app prompt that you can prototype fast. So it says athlete profiles with growth metrics, player profiles that include video highlights, stats, GPA if appropriate, and notes from mentors/coaches. Growth tracking, let players update their own stats over time so D1, D2 coaches can see improvement. I don't know. I'm gonna throw it back to, is that something that's useful in this field?
Yes,
Okay.
that's it.
Okay. So where it's like, oh, they can like send over almost like it's almost like a resume, but for themselves as an athlete, right? Okay. That would be pretty cool. I'd be like, oh, look at they legit coming out of Oakland. Okay. Um, and coach discovery and matching, right? So this was the part where I was like, it's going to be on you to find them because that's one thing. I mean, there's ways AI can help with that, but it's going to be you leveraging those relationships, right? A searchable visual directory of coaches. So maybe school, division, recruiting needs, open slots, allow players to follow the coaches they're interested in and get notifications if that coach is recruiting for their position. That's pretty dope. Virtual exposure events, host many virtual showcases where your players stream drills or highlights. That could be pretty cool. And sending automatic invitations to registered coaches, making it frictionless for them to watch. Oh, look, AI-powered highlight builder. So players can upload raw clips and the app automatically sends their top plays and labels them. So like a three-point shot, defensive stop, and creates a 60-second reel formatted for social media and coach sharing. That's pretty cool. I like that. Recruiting education hub, coach engagement, gamification. So I would say, I mean, what's the feedback for you as a coach and you also, Donald, being here, or anybody in the audience that wants to give feedback on what we see here? These ideas helpful? Do you think that they're in real life, the applications?
Yes, I think the one where it just automatically says the highlight builder, the AI.
The AI highlight builder?
Pretty well.
Yeah.
That saves a lot of time for them.
pushing out the content. So something that helps.
Subject.
And so they gave us a prompt here. So you're building a mobile-first web app that bridges Oakland youth basketball players with D1, D2, and JUCO coach. I don't even know what that is, but that's legit.
Junior college.
Junior college, that's what it stands for. Okay. See, that's why Sharif is qualified and I'm not to build this project. Okay. So player profiles, including name, age, height, position, GPA, highlight videos, and stats. So everything that we saw, but now it's basically put it in the language that we can use to speak to AI to have it build for us. And so it also kind of gave some design elements: clean, simple, mobile friendly, intuitive, easy to expand later. And yeah, it kind of gives us the flow. So how about we just take that and we go ahead and we put it into our app here, right? You're building a move. And let's go ahead and we're going to click enter. Okay. So again, this platform Lovable is going to be the main platform that we're using to build on for the hackathon. All right. And you're going to see why. And it helps build your front end. It has a lot of like functionality. So when we're building like a website, the problem with the website is that it's just like it's a static kind of like fancy brochure, right? But it doesn't necessarily have like a back end where you can collect emails or you can take actions and do things. And that's where Lovable comes in, because we're building an app where people can upload something and then it can show up in real time, or they can do their stats, or we can have a progress bar. So it's going to go ahead and do that. It said, I'm going to create a mobile-first basketball recruiting platform that connects Oakland youth players with college coaches. It'll have that clean, modern sports aesthetic with basketball-inspired colors and card-based layouts. So basketball orange, amber, and this here. So maybe that's not your brand color. Maybe you're doing it for the specific school, or like you have another brand color in mind. When we don't define like those specific things with AI be using its creative control, right? So we just said basketball, be like, oh, bet I'm going to use like the basketball orange. So that's kind of where you can have more control. It's going to give a clean aesthetic card designs inspired by ESPN and NBA. That's dope. Oh, I was in NBA 2K, my music. Yeah, and I actually, the day that my song Halftime dropped, which October 23rd of like 2022 or 21, it was featured on The Jump on ESPN. Yeah, that was lit. Actually, maybe you like, yeah, you play that song during practice one time. Hey. And then it's gonna do mobile first. So you can see here on the back end, it's working its magic. We about to see. This is all a live demonstration, y'all. So we don't know what's gonna happen, right? Landing page with player coach entry points. Okay. So it's gonna come up and we're gonna hear this like little satisfying and then we'll know. So Donald, I'm gonna come over to you to do the same thing and come up with some ideas for, this veterans-based app. Okay. So we can say kind of like a similar prompt, like I am building an app geared towards providing resources for veterans. So design thinking, who are building for veterans, defining the problem. Oftentimes after deployment, they are at more risk for homelessness, PTSD, and isolation. I want to create a hub where they can get connected with resources, both kind of like standalone resources where it's like, hey, maybe there's kind of like guides or something, but also like community resources where they can actually go out and do something physical. Are you thinking that this is going to be something that is like locally based or something that is more broad?
It is my goal to start off locally, because my thinking is once you do and that takes off, then you can spread around.
And so that it can expand later or perhaps be used as a model nationwide. It's kind of like how I'm thinking about the hackathon is, I wanted to start here in Richmond where I know where I've been living, where, I can bring people out or be like featured on the news, but it's almost like a franchise model where, hey, I've thought about this. I have the prompts, I have the templates, I have the sequences, and now I could hand it off to somebody else so they don't have to start from scratch. So it sounds like you're kind of building a similar model. Same thing for you, Sharif. You might be able to just take this and other coaches be like, yeah, like I have like the similar problem at, somewhere on the East Coast. They, facing that lack of connection. So let's say, and we talked about, so now we just defined kind of who we're serving, what the problem is. Now it's the ideation on what we wanted to do. So what are like the specific resources if a veteran came to you and it said, "Hey, Donald, I'm really struggling right now, and I don't know where to go." Like, what is it that you would tell them, or what would you be able to offer them in this moment?
So two things stand out to me: the homelessness and health. You know, a lot of veterans out there dealing with PTSD. Well, you have local resources that you don't have to travel 50 miles to go to VA Palo Alto, and they can simply go to a local clinic here and be safe. That's one. And two, homelessness. Like a lot of veterans are entitled to housing benefits
Mm-hmm.
that they don't know about. They haven't tapped into because they don't know. So rather than them sleeping, in the streets, we can kind of guide them in that path when the government will be paying for them to at least have like a studio, on a monthly basis and food.
Mm. So let's go ahead and let's make it even more local. Let's say, are you based out here in Richmond? Okay, so let's just start with Richmond. This is going to be specific to Richmond, California. I want to be able to connect veterans with like housing resources, like local, is it like would be VA offices, VA clinics? Oh, there go that sound. You heard it? Okay, so we about to go see Sharice's project in a second here, and while this is gonna iterate. So with housing resources, local VA clinics, food pantries, veteran groups, etc. Please help me come up with any additional ideas that will serve my purpose, as well as a prompt that I can start building with on Lovable. All right. And this right here is just like a regular chat GPT prompt. So it's using the 5 thinking model and it's going to give us some ideas. But when you're trying to find like really, really specific, like who are the specific vendors or the specific, you might have some of that data from just your experience and you'd be able to put in, but I'll also show you how to use what we call a deep research prompt, where it actually will find like specific contacts of people and like really, really detailed, granular, like almost like a Google search where you have like here's the location, here's the services that they offer, and it'll be able to do that. So let's go ahead. Okay, look what we got over here. It just built this for us. Bridge the gap between Oakland talent and college coaches. So let's go ahead and take a look at Sharif's app here. It done made a picture and everything. I said, connecting Oakland's elite youth basketball players with D1, D2, D3, and JUCO coaches through powerful profiles, highlight videos, and direct recruiting connections. You can create a player profile or browse coaches. So it's like view all players, no registration required to browse. And so it'll put up some statistics here that you'll be able to fill in. So it gives you just like kind of what we see as like that professional like toolkit of the visuals. And it'll focus on, when we're talking about business, we always want to show like the benefits. And so it isolated these benefits: player profiles, coach network, video highlights, watch lists. Ready to take your game to the next profile, or to the next level, create your profile, explore opportunities, right? And so let's see. So here we can create a player profile. So they can put in their name, their age, their height, their position, academic information, graduation year. See, this is stuff I didn't even think of, but I was like, oh, you good. All right, current school and session stats, points per game, assists per game, rebounds per game, player bio, and then highlight videos. And it can create a player profile just like that. Let's see if we can go browse coaches. If it kind of put in maybe some fake coaches. No, not yet. It didn't build it out. So right now it created, let's see, coaches. I think it just put a placeholder there and it's so it's blank. And so Sharif, initial feedback on this app.
Yeah, so that's an actual app we just built.
Yes. Yeah, so just from that prompt, from going through this design thinking process, figuring out how we're gonna like articulate that problem, now we actually have an app. So maybe Sharif, you go in and you'd be like, I also want to collect this data. So let's see, what feedback would you have so far from what we see on how we could make this better? and then I can show you how we can actually begin to edit it. And then we're going to do the same thing for you, Donald. And actually, I'm going to go ahead and put your prompt so it can start building in the back end while we work on Sharif. So then you will actually be able to see the foundation for your app today too, Donald. So the additional ideas, resource hub, health and wellness, community and career, tools, expansion potential, and I can send this all to you as well. So it's saying the same thing that we did with Sharif, right? It has what we're building, what it should include, what the MVP is. And we're going to go ahead and put that in, let it do its thing in the back end, and then we're going to come back. So what are we thinking here, Sharif?
Yeah, like the initial, I mean, the player profile and the player
Mhm.
setup, you get all the information like up front, which is really good. With the coaches, like since it's like on the dead point right there, I would just say that we would need like a map location where the kid can instantly just go in there. Even if there's no coaches on there, they can just instantly type in the school that they may be interested in and then plug it in right there.
Okay, so
So
for
it can just pop up.
okay, and so that would be something that the youth would use to find the coaches?
Yeah. Like, and then it can be a link to it or things like that.
Okay, so let's add a input box where youth can, or okay, instead of the browse coaches option, have a text input box where students can put in the school they are interested in and find coaches. If there are no coaches at that school, make the next best recommendation.
Yeah.
Perfect. So you can see, I'm not doing anything like no crazy coding or anything like that. I'm literally just saying the thing that I want. So Sharif said, instead of just this browsing coaches where there's not really a criteria of where we would start or how we would sort the coaches when we get them, it's going to be like, oh, let's start with like a specific like location or a specific school. And let's see, I have look at what Jane said, wow, I had no idea we were already at this point technologically. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. This software is not even a year old. And this, yes, so Lovable is not even a year old, but is the fastest growing company in the history of Earth. Like it reached $100 million annual recurring revenue in 8 months. Now it's at a $1.8 billion evaluation, and they just got another $200 million investment. So it's just and it's the idea that, yeah, like you came in just like, I don't know what I'm saying. And now you have the basis for an app, right? You have a more formulated idea that now you can keep iterating on. You can now, let's say that you go to networking events and you're meeting coaches. Hey, like come be part of my platform. Are you interested in, being connected with like talent that you may never have found before? Because you'll miss out if you don't come to Oakland. There it is, search by school name. So you see how it just literally, I said, hey, can you do this? And all of a sudden it did that. Now the next steps would be to get the data, right? So I have a song called Dream, Data Rules Everything Around Me. So that's the next important part. Right now we got a really solid, we got a solid foundation with our design thinking. We discovered the problem that we want to solve. And now you have a great foundation. And now it's just about filling it in. So it's like, okay, let me make the student profiles and the coach profiles. And maybe even if you just start with the student profiles, because this could be a great opportunity for you to not just be a coach on the basketball courts, but also helping them to think, helping them legitimize when they see a profile that's polished, and like you could do something fun and prompted to make them like a sports card or something like that. And that's how it looks at the top, and it has all the stats, and then it's their own thing that they can share. And then almost like an internal social media or something for them. Yeah. And who knows, maybe this will be like the foundation of just like how we have a national database of youth basketball players that started right here in Richmond, California. Hey, So and then yeah, like view all players. So you can see that in a website that we have multiple pages. So there's like the home page. And so it created some of those pages because like one of the ones we talked about was wanting to create the profile, and the same thing here. So I can literally go and is there anything that you might want to change on this page that you see? Okay. If you wanted to, you can always go to like edit, and you can literally be like, hey, make this purple, or hey, like change this language. So everything that you see, you have complete control over, but at least you're not starting from scratch. It could be really intimidating to try and sit down and be like, oh, I want to create, and now you're thinking of all the information that you should ask and trying to drag and what form builder do I use? But you can see here, it made it super simple, right? It even has like the little arrows for like the granular. So it's pretty intuitive in terms of what it's able to do, right? Let's see if we got welcome home veterans. Let's see Donald's app that we just built here. Find the support and resources you've earned. Easy access to housing, healthcare, food assistance, and more in Richmond, California. Richmond Veteran Resources. So it came up with a name. It kind of gave this little logo. Quick access. Um, Let's see. I see that Jane says, this is amazing. In my case, I've done years of work and theoretical side of what autistic adults need and why. So I already know what needs to happen. Just like Donald knew what needs to happen, Sharif knew what needs to happen, but not what was possible technically. This is so exciting. Awesome. Thank you for joining us, Jane. So the things that we talked about, housing, food, VA services, mental health, laid out clearly here, featured resources, Richmond VA. So here, it's actually the one in Pinole. Look at, so it put the website, it put the phone number, and it called Bay Area Rescue Mission. I know that's legit. They up here,
Yeah.
right? I've invited them to the hackathon. I said, Donnie, come through, build something. We need Richmond Bay Area Rescue Mission to represent Richmond Food Bank. So it already actually did some of that deep research for you and developed the app. Need immediate help, and it has a crisis lifeline here. And so one of the things, this is how we can use the edit. See, one of the things it didn't do a great job at is having this contrast. It looks like a blank button. So I could just say, please ensure proper contrast so the text on the button can be read. Okay. Apply to all buttons. All right, and then I can just click that and then it'll be able to make those simple changes. But again, just by going through, deciding who we were going to serve, veterans, what the problem is that they're facing, the access to the resources, how we want to solve that problem, how we want to connect them to resources. Now we're in the prototyping phase. And then next up is you'd be able to test this. Okay, maybe like send it to just one friend, somebody that's maybe not going to judge you too hard if there's some like ticks and trips here, but can give you some honest feedback. And they'll let you know, right? And so this is the foundation of building a business, right? Not just an app, but I always say it doesn't matter if it don't help nobody.
You know what would be a good add-on to that? You know, I feel like, cause I've been on like some, people that was like in the military and stuff like that. Since it already did most of that information, I hear a lot of military vets that come out of that saying that they go to a lot of physical therapy and like they need like more, resources like that to go to their doctor's appointments and things like that for their back or their knees, things like that. And that can be a great database. I mean, it already put up in-call resources for it. Yeah. So I can definitely see.
Right. Oh, so like physical therapists that are like maybe that are local and like maybe specific that give like veterans discounts or like are used to working with that population. And now you have like a database. Yeah, I think that's amazing. Yeah, and let's see when we say look at it gave us all of these and it allows you to filter by category. Veteran groups, job training, mental health, a medical center. These are the ones that showed the Veteran Center in Richmond, the Richmond Workforce Development, Veterans Group. So yeah, it came up with 6 pretty solid resources that are real resources in our community of Richmond, California. And we built that in less than an hour right here at CoBiz. Yeah. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And you're gonna have 3 hours to build with other people and Lovable credits on Saturday. Yes, so that's what I'm saying is like we finna see some real businesses and some real resources coming out, you know, because now but see how actually this part was the easy part. Most of the time that we spent was defining these things, right? So now we just went through our prototyping. The next part that we're going to do is the testing, right? So you'll have access to you know, like this prompt and everything so that you got to see how it works. So what are the things that you might change when you're working on Saturday, being able to now ideate with a group, maybe seeing if there's any other veterans or people that are passionate or case management workers, like we got Gina on here, or somebody that is artist or somebody like Sharif that's like, well, you know, my background is in sports, and even though your background is serving veterans, you had something to contribute, right? It was something you might think of. And so that's also the importance of us building as a community and being able to give those ideas to each other. And Jane, oh yeah, because she's an incredible dancer and artist, and also has she gave me a lot of advice around physical therapy when I had to get my knee surgery. So she said that there's also programs for physical therapy that people don't know about, that to get that covered. I love connecting areas of knowledge that have been unable to share just because the way society has positioned them. People don't get to know that each other exists, right? And that's really the thing that we're trying to bridge the gap on here in Richmond on Saturday with the Homebase Hackathon, right? Um, and again, we can say, we go back. So it created three pages. And let's see what this profile page is. Oh, okay. So it allows people, when you connect it with your database, you can have veterans come on and make an account where they can save specific resources. They can save reminders. So VA appointment benefits check-in, and then do quick actions, right? So they have emergency contacts, the resources and reminders. So that's kind of a cool thing too, where you can say, hey, and then that way, now you're curating your database and your community where maybe you send out push notifications. Maybe as you start to expand, you're like, here's also the resources in Oakland. Or maybe you want to host some type of meetup or workshop like what we're doing here right now. And then you'd be able to put all of that information in the app and get it out there into the world. Yeah. So we got about 8 minutes here. So, I mean, we did a lot. I don't have time. We like went through the whole process of design thinking and developed 2 apps. Like that's pretty insane. So any questions from anybody that's tuning in online, or from Sharif or Donald, that we have y'all here?
So this is the prototyping phase.
Mm-hmm.
Now when it comes to testing, is the like, will this be kind of generated just like you have other apps?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
There's a process for that as well.
Yeah, so pretty much when you're ready to publish, there's this button up here to publish. And so right now it kind of makes a domain up already. So it's at richmond-connect.lovable.app. Let's say that you have your own brand and you want to be able to connect it, then you can connect it to your own domain. You can either that you've bought somewhere else, or that you can also buy from Lovable. And so then it could be like, donaldsveteranapp.com or whatever you want that's branded. And then you literally can start sending that out to people. So the next step here, right now, it's just the front end. So the same thing with you, Sharif. So if you had students that come on that want to create a profile, we need to have the back end, the database of where that information is going to be stored. Now, Lovable makes it super easy because they've partnered with a software, and it's free, and for up to 2 projects. So if you're just building a single thing, then you don't have to worry about an additional cost. And that is where basically, with cybersecurity, we want that information to be private and only like what is supposed to be represented on the front, but it'll be a whole database where it'll have like the student name, the height, the GPA, everything like that. And then that way the student can log in, they can update, they can have like a password protected area. So that would be the next step. And like I said, we built this in 1 hour. So there's going to be 3 hours of building time on Saturday. So you'll have a sufficient amount of time, plus you'll have mentors that are coming over. And the other thing that I'm excited about is that you're not just going to learn to implement the design thinking frameworks that we talked about, but you'll also be learning how to pitch, right? So being able to articulate all of this, and then how you explain it. There's going to be the judges here that'll give feedback, but when you're out there in the community, that's sometimes why some people get more farther ahead than others, because they just had the confidence to put it out there, or they just knew how to describe it better. And so those are also the skills that is really important that I'm giving to the community, and not just like the tech stuff. Because as you can see, the tech stuff is actually the smallest part of the equation in what we did today. Yeah. So, but yeah, so it gave you the description. You could select an image here, right? So if you have some type of background image, and then you can literally publish. And once you click publish, you can just start sending that domain out, and then you're in your testing phase. And then you just take that feedback. And then, I'm constantly iterating on here, right? I'm constantly, like even the Homebase Hackathon. So I connected it to my domain, hackathon.theaihomegirl.com. But when I updated the flyer, being able to come here and being like, hey, can you update the flyer to the new one? And then it just populates. Like, hey, can you add new sponsors? Or, hey, I'm gonna evolve this with the submission process on Saturday. So now as like I grow, my app can continue growing. All I have to do is go back to Lovable, sit there and be like, okay, can you add a new page? And this page should include a portal where it shows all of the hackathon projects, right? And now I just keep on building and building. And so it's the same thing. I was able to build out all of the people here, goes directly to their LinkedIn. So now this whole page is serving as like a resource hub in itself. And then again, I built a template. So now my Lovable template, I can share this code with somebody else that wants to maybe throw a hackathon and be like, here, just swap out with your own information. And it's that easy. So then we can constantly be building on each other without having to start from scratch. And so, and then this is an example of how we like make it even more powerful by connecting other apps. So people, sponsors, they can come directly here and make a payment. And this payment is a real payment that goes into my bank account because I connected my Stripe. And all I did was say, hey, I want the buttons for the sponsorship levels to be active, connect my Stripe. And then it'll lead me through the process of how to do that. I went and got what's called my API key. I put it in, and now I've been able to receive payments directly through my website without going through a whole new platform and a payment and all this stuff. It's just all in one place. Right. Yeah, so there we have it.
Is that how the deep research prompts thing process?
Hey, Mr. C. It's not, but I will show you this, and let me share my screen again. So let's talk about the deep research prompts. For example, let me show you an example of a deep research prompt. Was it monetizing? This was a deep research, okay? So I said, act as a senior fundraising and strategy analysis or analyst working to secure sponsorships for a first-time community hackathon. I put in everything about my event, and then I asked for 20 to 30 potential sponsor organizations split. And so you'll see it actually gave me, and I also said, it asked some specific questions. So I was like, oh, I don't want any cannabis or alcohol sponsors because this is a family-friendly event. And here's my one page so you get more context. And this is what it gave me. So it gave me like specific, like the Chevron Richmond Refinery, Mechanics Bank, and it gives me specific websites and where on their site they talk about sponsorship. So you can see that it gets really deep and it gets detailed and it's talking specifically about things in Richmond. And then even when I went down here, I was like, basically, I'm coming to like a lot of these big sponsors, there's red tape. They're not going to be able to turn around. So what do you have for local sponsorships? And look at Left Side Printing, literally right there across the street. And it gives the location and it gave the emails. So now it helped me create this entire database that now I could take that if I wanted to make that public and put it on Lovable. So that's more so the deep research. If you want to do deep research, I think it's only available on the paid plan, which is like $20 a month, but you basically go here and you go to, let's see, deep research here,
Okay.
right? And so I get like 30 deep research prompts a month, but that is when, we use regular ChatGPT when we're kind of running our ideas through the design thinking model. Deep research is when you want to get like hone in on super, super specific things. And depending on the perplexity of your prompt, like I've had deep research prompts run, like take 3-4 hours to generate a report because it can get really granular. But when you're doing something like looking for veteran resources, it could be helpful versus going on like Google Maps or just like a search where you might be missing things or you're kind of limited to by what you're Googling right here. So it's gonna basically kind of fill in that gap to find you those deep resources. So all right, y'all. Well, thank you everybody who has joined in either on Instagram. That was our Lovable demonstration here. So we saw how in less than an hour, we went through our entire design thinking process, as well as building 2 prototypes. That's how easy it is that we're going to be able to do on Saturday at the Richmond Homebase Hackathon. There is still time to RSVP at hackathon.theaihomegirl.com. So excited to see you there. And I'll see you next time, everybody. Thank you all. Yes, thank you, Jane. Thank you, Mr. C. All right, awesome. We'll see.